great.
So why the story of Noah and why now?
Well, now makes sense because it's a cautionary tale. You know, the story of Noah is about what happens if man is filled with wickedness and corrupts the planet. And so I think, you know, on today, when the report from the UN came out on climate change and the rising waters, it's kind of ironic that Noah is coming out this week in the UK. It's also one of our oldest stories. It's and when I say us, I mean the planet. It belongs to everyone, not just if you're Judeo-Christian or Islamic tradition. It's a story that's one of the oldest stories ever told, that people are still talking about, that everyone knows, and yet it's never been brought to the big screen.
And I mean, Noah it's the biggest budget you've ever had to work with, and I was wondering, was it quite an exciting prospect having that much money, or was it quite sort of a daunting prospect?
I don't think it really matters how much money a film costs. It's ultimately the same job when you're on set. You have a limited amount of resources, a limited amount of time, and you just sort of have to make the best decisions in the moment.
Because I mean, you're sort of renowned for a very innovative style of filmmaking and often getting into the heads of people. And I was wondering if how you sort of sort in channeling that, through a blockbuster.
Well, when you see the film, it's not just big action sequences, which we have a lot of. We have all the great miracles of the Bible brought to life in a fantastical, mythical way. But we also have a very human story, a family drama led by Russell Crowe and Jennifer Connelly and Sir Anthony Hopkins and Emma Watson, and them working all together, they make, you know, something very, very rich.
So why Russell Crowe for this role? Because it's very. I thought it was quite an interesting selection, but he really pulls it off.
Yeah, well, it's a very hard role to fill, but with all the miracles that are in the Bible, you know, the talking angels, the great deluge, you wanted something, and I wanted someone who could ground it in reality and dignity, and that's what Russell brings.
And were you ever sort of worried or cautious at all about delving into quite religious territory in cinema? Was that ever anything that you were thinking about?
I don't think it's really a religious story. I think it's more of a mythical story that belongs to everyone. I think people that kind of own it and people who are literalists they don't really deserve it. It doesn't really belong to them. It belongs to everyone on the planet. And to try and sort of talk about it in a historical way, I think is it misses the point. The point is that this story relates to everyone on the planet because it's a story that people have been telling for a very long time, and there's a reason that people keep coming back to it.
I read that the studio were sort of toying with alternate versions, but is the version that we're seeing, is that your vision? Is that your creation? Was that quite a stressful time for you in ensuring that you needed it to be exactly how it was?
Of course, yeah. You know, I did not want to deal with anything but getting the film done in the way that, you know, we all agreed on making.
And I read that it's been banned in a few countries. How does that sort of make you feel when you learn of that happening?
Well, it's in the tradition, and in Islamic law, there's you're not supposed to represent any living creature in art. So we always knew that there would be some sensitivities if we were representing one of the prophets.
And of course, I mean, the film, it does really delve into quite unsettling themes, particularly in the second half of the movie. But as you've been saying, this is a film for anybody. So I was wondering, was it quite a challenge for you to make this film and make it very accessible to a range of people, and yet still get into quite intense, quite dark issues as well?
I don't really think about that. I just try to make the film as I see fit, because I'm trying to make a great entertainment first, most and foremost. And to do that, you got to sort of be truthful to the source material and bring it to life in a dramatic way.
And I also read that there was actually no real animals used in this. Did that pose any challenges for you? I mean, I think it was all kind of...
I think it makes things easier. Working with live exotic animals is, first of all, it's ethically kind of questionable, and it's definitely wrong to do that to sentient creatures. But working with digital animals gives you much greater freedom. And
this is the first film since The Fountain that you've written and directed. Was it quite nice to return to that after your previous projects?
Well, I've always been deeply involved, even in Black Swan and The Wrestler. You almost have to go to a writer level when you're working on those films, and you have to really get deeply involved. I don't think the process was that much different on those films. I spent less time in a room alone.
So just finally, what's next for you? Have you got anything in the pipeline? Or?
I got some things growing, but we're going to take a little break and see what comes.
Thank you so much for your time today. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.